It's been good, man. No complaints at all. We had quite a bit of rain,
A lot
and
of rain,
lots of rain in Dominica
but
at
it
least.
seems you got a tan.
I've been out on the water for quite a long while, and it's so amazing that you go to the left of Dominica or you go to the right of Dominica, and it's almost like a totally different atmosphere. It's
You,
just
you
so
feel you feel different,
yeah,
huh?
it's different. You have almost come back with this opinion that maybe we're just stuck in the middle of something. So as soon as we get our foot and maybe we'll explode because so many other people have taken the opportunity
Uh huh.
to fix our islands. But I'm thinking we're so close to the French islands. I don't know why we can't learn more from them because they seem to have quite a bit of knowledge and quite a bit of
Maybe they're closer to Europe than we are.
well, they are closer to Europe. Probably we should get back closer to Europe because I think we've strayed away a little bit from Europe. Europe is closer to us than we think. And I think probably we should start taking some lessons from them.
Taking advantage.
At least, yes, that too. I mean,
We have like 250,000 people on each side, left, right.
more than that. I think Martinique has about 600,000 people.
Really?
Yes, I think that's the population of Martinique. I mean, we can Google it just to verify,
Let
but
me
I
check.
think there's 600,000 people in Martinique, and Guadeloupe I think is a little over 400, closer to 500,000 people, if I'm not correct.
I'm gonna research it right away.
But yeah, we can definitely look it up. But I mean, I just think we need to get good role models, and part of us fixing ourselves is to probably follow the role models that are around us and people that are making progression around us. So we need to really take a look at that. But I'm going to tell you the development, and not only that, Matt, I've noticed what we've actually done to in some regards is alienate our French neighbors as well.
Mhm.
We do not consider them in anything that we do.
The population of Martinique is 340,
300 and
40,
340. Okay,
845.
got it,
That's
got
not,
it. So we at 300. Yeah. So yeah. You might have been closer than I was.
yes.
Maybe I was adding the two together because Guadeloupe has a considerable amount as well between Guadeloupe. So, but yeah. I mean, we have a few 100,000 people around us. So, and since we're only about 65,000 people, maybe we can get some examples from them
Mhm.
and some assistance too, and
Yeah.
just probably get their
So
markets a
you
little
can
open
say
to us.
conservatively, about 500, 600,000
Yeah,
people.
about
Yeah.
600,000 between our two
Yeah,
neighbors.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We should definitely take advantage.
Well, they're close to us. I mean, and I think somewhat charity begins at home. We have to start closer and work our way out a little bit. And these, if we can open up some of those markets to us, or if we can open up some joint ventures with those markets, I think we can definitely stand a chance, and we can see some better prosperity.
Of course, especially for our farmers.
Oh yes, that's a big thing. I mean, our goods are of superior quality compared to what they have over there, and I think they would have a good appreciation for the produce that we put together. And Matt, I don't think it would be very difficult to reach out to them. I mean, all you would need is some good vessels and really have some good dialogue with our neighbors, and I think we could definitely open up some trade markets there. And I know we have some that are open already because we have hucksters, and we have people who do like private things over there as well. So I think if we start opening up our dialogue with our neighbors and probably facilitate them, consider them, invite them to us, I think they would be happy about that. They seem to love us. I mean, I'm going to tell you that our neighbors love us.
Well, I've heard though for many years that we were promised a boat going south, going north. Nothing of that has become a reality.
Not a good reality. They're probably little boats going back and forth every now.
Doing the
Did they
wrong
did they
things.
did
Doing
they
doing the
did
wrong
they say
things.
the size of the boat by any chance that should be going? But I think if the government was to open up commercial talks with our neighbors Martinique, our neighbors Guadeloupe, and the other neighboring French islands, I definitely think that those talks would be welcome. And I'm going to probably stick a pin in this. I think they would be happy to assist us if we were willing to go the extra mile. So, for instance, let's say we didn't have a boat. I would think they would say, "Hey, we would be happy to, transport this on a boat for you," because the French, I mean, Express de Zille comes here a couple times a day. So I know that they have ferries that they use between their islands to transport things. I don't see it too hard for them to help us with some ferry system to get our produce across to them if it would benefit them.
I heard just this morning that the Prime Minister of Antigua is saying that he should be talking, ferry service from Antigua to Dominica.
It's a possibility. I mean,
how long would it take your boat, man? How long would it take, say,
it would
to Antigua?
We would probably take. I mean, Antigua is a 4 hour trip. Yeah, Antigua is a 4 hour trip from Portsmouth to Antigua. You're probably looking at a 4 hour trip.
4 hours.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's nothing in light. If you, I mean, consider St. Lucia a 4 or 5 hour trip as well. I don't think it would be any different. If you make those avenues open, because when you have to consider it, Matt, a plane ticket to Antigua is over $900 EC,
maybe 1,200 sometimes.
Yes, easily. So, and a ferry ticket, for instance, and I'm just using St. Lucia as probably the marker here, is about $150, $200 EC. So it's a significant discount, and what that would do is really allow us to probably move around a little bit more.
And maybe, just maybe, the prices on the airplanes will go down.
Maybe if we have some competition, and that's probably why those stay so high, because there's no competition.
And maybe I've said that before, that our taxes on these airlines are just too exorbitant.
Well, I think the taxes in Dominica are too exorbitant by far. I think one of the failures of the government, and I think
government or governments? Because
I think it's government, because the last government which we still have in power, or we've had in power, has been there for close to 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, noting that, if we had something previously that was bad, I would have expected them to approach it and fix it. And it's a lot of times, for instance, it was very disturbing to me that you had a gentleman on the radio this morning, and he was talking, and he's saying, well, if these things, I think he was talking about corporations, mm-hmm. and making sure these things are built more efficient. And this was a request from, I think, a caller or a text that you told him. And he said, well, we would have to start those talks and find those people. And one of my problems is, why are we doing this now? Why wasn't this part of the preparation? So the government has to understand that they've been there for a while. If you've been in power for the last probably 4 years and something came up in year 5, maybe we as a population and we as the employers of the government maybe can forgive them. But when you've been there for 25 years, I think
you're not sympathetic.
I don't think you can be sympathetic. It's deliberate at this point, right? Because you've had 1 term, 2 term, 3 term, 4 term, 5 term. Well, how many terms do you need to start something that's going to work?
He spoke about it's not always the best when governments are involved.
Well, and he was right about that. Really and truly, if government was involved in very little other than producing good governance, meaning making the rules, the regulations, really getting the leads out there. If government was just involved in that, I think government could possibly succeed and do well. However, what the government has not done is create the baseline or the layers, or it's kind of like having a farmer out there. You have to, you can't say, hey, guess what? I'm going to grow crops, but you have bad soil. You have to have the good soil. You have to have the machinery. You have to have the fertilizer. You have to have those things. And then you as a farmer can plant a seed. So the government really hasn't created the good soil to create good farmers in Dominica. Does that make a little more sense?
Do you think the soil? Do they have to create good soil, or we have the we have an abundance of good soil?
Yeah, but the government is responsible for creating the good soil.
I would say maybe the environment has to be right.
And that is the soil. That's what you grow in. You grow in the soil. If the environment is right, and you've created this environment where you have good lending, you have good
So an
salaries, you
enabling
have good
environment.
opportunity. It's the right soil for us to grow as Dominicans.
If you put it that way,
Yes,
yeah.
then we would flourish when we get planted as seeds.
Yeah.
And hence the reason that very few things fail, or very few things flourish in Dominica, it's because we have poor standards. And I know there are people out there who might want to question when I say things like that, but I'm going to tell you, I'm a statistics person. And if you look at how many businesses in Dominica have closed down versus how many have opened, you'll see that that number is a very big number. There's a wide divide on that.
But the question is, who's opening the businesses?
Well, I don't know who's opening them, but I know who's closing them.
No, but the locals are closing them, and because they can't afford
to keep. Yeah, exactly.
So the Chinese are taking over. But do you blame the Chinese?
I can't blame the Chinese again, because here's the thing, Matt. It's the soil again. Most people recognize that any Chinese infested, I'm going to call it infested, any Chinese infested country will eventually fail. Simply because
you say fail.
Well, it will fail because
eventually.
Okay. Their culture is one of dominance. I mean, the Chinese run a very communistic operation. Their government, their way of doing, their culture. If you understand Chinese culture, it's different than West Indian culture. It doesn't mix very well. If you notice something about the Chinese, they're very self-sufficient, meaning that they do not use the services that we provide in Dominica at all. Very hardly.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I mean, when we're talking here, we're just talking a numbers game. Not only that, Matt, they come in and they are very opportunistic, meaning that what they want to own is the best of what we have that will eventually benefit them. So, for instance, if they know that they can purchase land, which the government made it possible for them to purchase land. Again, the government setting the wrong soil. So now what they're doing is they're buying up the best lands or the most fruitful lands. They're buying up places that have our waterways. They're buying up places where they see the resources could eventually benefit them. So here you have a system that they're coming in and they're saying, okay, Dominica is a beautiful island. What do we need from Dominica for us eventually? And not now. If something goes wrong or if we cannot source this, what do we need? So they will take over our minerals. They will take over all our elements. Anything that we have that could possibly be of benefit to them. They will come in and they'll invest in it and hold on to it as tight as they can. And once they hold on to it, that will not be relinquished.
I want to inject something here that we, of course, discussed something last week. Maybe you ordered state at the time, but this is Mr. Scarrett's view. I actually supported the view initially, but we had some discussion, and I just asked the question whether he was right on that statement. I want you to get your views.
Okay, yeah, sure thing. Let's play.
One village, for example, the foreign national who wanted to buy 121 acres. He came to cabinet, we blocked it. What they did was that they go to a lawyer, the lawyer from a company, and they end up selling land as if it's a local Dominican buying it. So they've circumvented the law and they have an arrangement with the foreign national and so on. So, and that is good agricultural land that shall remain with Dominicans as far as possible. I want to comment on all the farmers. I mean,
no, his point is, Andy, I don't know if you had time to grasp it. He's saying we should stop selling agricultural land to foreigners, right?
That's correct.
That is correct. But somebody has actually made the accusation there that he set the first example to be selling lands to foreigners.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I think if anybody has to raise the hand of being guilty, I think he set the standard. So from the standard that he set, whereas you have foreign nationals come in being able to open so many businesses in Dominica over a period of time, buy lands, build homes, own homes, and not only that, literally dominate the population that we have in Dominica. I don't think anybody is outrunning the
So,
Chinese
so,
population
so
right
you're
now.
saying he's being hypocritical? Is that
I think
statement?
he's been very hypocritical because he himself hires foreign nationals to work on his own home. So I mean, let's see who's throwing the first stone. And I think Mr. Scarrett probably needs to take a look at himself in the mirror first before he goes out. And he constantly does this. I mean, I think I approached this on the last show where he makes you feel like it's somebody out there doing things,
Like
but he doesn't realize, no, sir, you've already set the basis, so other people are following in. And really and truly, I don't blame these people for following in because guess what? He set the standard. He's put no rule, no law, no constitution. And not only that, if that deal did go through where that person did buy that acreage and has their arrangement with the local national and that so somebody obviously didn't do their homework and their research properly.
121 acres.
So where did that money come from? Did anybody look to see and vet to see where that money came from? Was it money laundering? When I buy a property, Matt, I know that they look at my finances. They want to see, hey, where did this money come from? Was this originally Anderson's Jolly money? Is he borrowing it from a bank? Is he getting it from some other source that's been vetted? So it's a good idea that we start looking at those things and setting the rules in place because people will go around our rules and regulations. And not that just goes to show that those Chinese folks might be smarter than Mr. Scarrett because they outsmarted him. He went, he blocked it, and somebody else unblocked it. So obviously, that's just showing the determination that those people have to get what they want, and they will even go above his head to get what they want.
Interesting.
I would be embarrassed if I was him. By the way, I wouldn't have even repeated that
But,
statement.
but you're right. Somebody has to take the blame for this. 121 acres just gone to some foreign national because, according to him, that some lawyer assisted that the foreigner.
Well, it's probably one of his lawyers anyway, because I'm going to tell you, Matt, I'm not impressed with the lawyers that we have in Dominica anyway, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of them are not involved in the right things here. And again, that goes to setting the rules. The Bar Association is supposed to set the rules. The government is supposed to set the rules for legal practice, but the government does its own thing with lawyers here anyway, right? They use lawyers, they use the court system. So guess what? Everybody's using everybody, and Mr. Scarrett is the first culprit that has set this in place. He's gone out. I mean, if you play back many of the words of Mr. Scarrett, whether he's up on a podium and says no law, no constitution, it's none of your what damn business. I think he said on a stage one time, and he says, "Who the hell do you think you are? It's above your pay grade." I mean, look at all these these remarks that he's given out in public. What type of person do you think he is? Do you think any of his so-called soldiers or any of his students might be any different than him? So there we are. So we're now literally being oppressed by the Chinese because he's allowed that. He's allowed them to come in. He's allowed them to see what we have. And he's literally given them a key to the kingdom and says, take whatever you want and how much and do whatever you want with it.
Hello, talk to me. Oh, sorry about that. 449-3095-9697. Let's make the contributions very short. Okay, thank you very much. On the telephone, yes.
Good day, Mr. Andy Jolly.
Good day, good day.
My favorite. Let me tell you something. Thank you for the hypocrite you talk about there. Because when I talk about those things there, his friend talking to you, I'm cutting me off and telling me I'm not saying the right thing. Everybody like to swallow what that man is saying. This man says so many things already. People don't know him. I doesn't swallow nothing he says. Hypocrite.
All right. Thank you very much. On the telephone, yes. Good afternoon. Yes. Yes, Hello.
There's definite. Doing good. How are you doing? Go right ahead.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Andy, I see you on a Chinese bashing today, but let me ask you a quick question. Would it be different for you if you, instead of Chinese, it was Australians or English or Americans that was opening business like what the Chinese doing? Because every city, every state in America has a Chinatown, and the Chinese are taking over. You said all where the Chinese is, they're taking over. As a businessman, what kind of investors do you want? Do you want only Americans? Do you want Canadians? But you don't want Chinese? I'm listening.
Well, I'm not on a Chinese bashing. I was asked the question, and I will tell you that I believe that the Chinese have done quite a bit of good work with many different civilizations. You look in the Philippines, you look in Africa, the Chinese have done work there. You look, Sam, but I'm not on a Chinese bashing, and I apologize if that's what you think. I just call it as it is. History has shown that what I'm talking about is what happens. And if you want, you can go on YouTube and look up a few of the China domination ideas that are on there. But I like investors. Investors are good. What I really don't like, and this is to the caller, I really want you to identify with me on that. I'm a Dominican, and I am an investor here in Dominica as well. And I would like to people to not really understand that what I do not like is to give a culture or anybody else an advantage over the nationals of that country. And what I'm about to tell you is that the Chinese come in here with quite a significant advantage over everybody else. They literally have a foot in the front door and everybody takes a back seat. And I'm going to tell you, I don't mind you bringing anybody here to spend money. In fact, anybody that has money, please come to Dominica to spend it. We love when you spend money. We love when you invest. And I want everybody to know that it's not about that, but it's obvious that there is an unfair advantage on this playing field. It's obvious to so many people that there are advantages that they get that we do not get as a national.
Question to you, Andy.
Yes.
So why are the other investors not coming and only the Chinese are coming?
That's a good question. And I would propose that to Mr. Skerritt at his next press conference when you go up there, Matt, because there's obviously something that's going on there, some type of relation that's in there. Because guess what? We have a Venezuelan embassy here. We have Cuban embassy here. We even have an American, I don't think it's a full embassy, but I believe we have, a Organization of American States office here.
I think.
Yes. And we have several different people. Why does it look like the Chinese are getting all the jobs? Why does it look like the Chinese nationals gets all the benefits? Why does it look like they get a significant portion of everything else, and we don't see these other groups of people come into the table with other investments? When last did we get something from another country? When last did we get something from somebody else? It just seems like there's some sort of dominance in there. And I think our Prime Minister, Mr. Skerritt, has created an unlevel platform where there are certain dealings that go on behind in the back room that we as Dominicans don't know about. The Chinese people have significant investments in Dominica.
And so we need to see the MOU.
We need to see the MOUs, and we need to know what happens in the backroom meetings, because obviously there's some handshaking and some deal making issues that go on back there that are quite, guess what? We had Saudi Arabia here the other day. They came in, they helped us out with a loan. Why aren't they investing money and sending people over here? We have so many other people that are interested in investing in the Caribbean. We even have other Caribbean countries that are interested in investing in Dominica, and they cannot do it. So obviously, I am not interested, caller, in Chinese bashing. However, I will tell you that the Chinese do have some sort of deal with Mr. Skerritt that is way sweeter than anybody else can get.
Hello, are you there, caller? Hello? Seem to be having problems with the overseas line. So again, the numbers are 449-3095. We love interaction, so you can call us at any time. We'll try to take your calls. Somebody's making the point that Guadeloupe officially joined the OECS as an associate member at the signing ceremony held in Bastia, Guadeloupe on March 14th, 2019. The history of the OECS will take a new turn on Wednesday, February 4th, 2015, when the French territory of Martinique signs an associate member state, increased the 9-member group into 10. I think the point is that They are part of the OECS. So why are we not taking advantage of that that treaty there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, that's another good question that we should probably ask our prime minister next time he's on the podium. But I think our prime minister is supposed to be the minister in charge of, I believe it's the investment ministry of investment, or
Yes.
is that right? If I'm correct.
Is the prime minister?
Yes, it is his. So those are all good questions to ask him when he come back. I mean, I'm probably not able to answer the question right now, but it's a good question to raise. And I like people who are out there and going out there and thinking and saying, "Hey, look at something so close to us, 1 hour away on a 1 hour ride. You could get to this place. We could get vessels out there. We could get investments out there. We could even get some of our Dominican products out there. Not only that, Matt, here's the next thing that we do not realize. So many of our own Dominican people live in these other countries, and they cannot get products from us.
Somebody wants you, Andy, to repeat yourself as it relates to these foreign investors and companies that, of course, get unfair advantage, and provide some examples right in front of you.
Well, I what part do they want me to repeat? I have to tell you, it would be probably better if we approach things on a fair level.
Okay.
And anytime you have people not, if we have 10 applications from China and we have one from another country, we're probably not getting a fair bite of everybody here.
Okay.
China is a very communistic society.
The Chinese are more dominant here.
The Chinese, but for what reason, Matt? Because here it is that if we look through the rest of the OECS islands, which other OECS island can you look to that probably has that much China dominance that you can think of?
Antigua, to a certain extent.
Antigua doesn't have that much. Antigua has more American influence than anything else. Antigua doesn't have a lot of Chinese domination. Antigua just got a brand new port. They're taking in big old mega ships when it comes to cruise ships now. So they just broke ground and they got that all done.
So you're saying the Chinese are more dominant in Dominica than in Antigua?
And Dominica is the island that the Chinese are most dominant on in the region.
You must ask the question why.
You have to ask the question why. And it's who they're shaking hands with. If you notice, there's several other Caribbean countries that won't even do business with the Chinese.
You know, somebody's saying and making a point too. Isn't the Chinese the ones building the hotel for them in Loubier?
Yeah, Loubier, Portsmouth, which is the other one? Newtown, which is the other hotel? Kempinski. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. We just have this overwhelmingly, and again, I'm not into Chinese bashing, but when I see the Chinese people directly competing with our local people on several factors. Now, here's the thing. If you brought the Chinese here to build factories for us, if you brought the Chinese here to develop agriculture for us, if you brought them here to develop, different venues that could employ our local people, I would like to see that happen because I know they have the technology. And I'm going to tell you, Matt, even the Chinese are probably one of the number one societies at waste disposal. If you look at some of the industry and the machinery that they have developed to recycle garbage, to dispose of garbage, they're one of the best civilizations. So we have to start using them at a higher level, not competing with the guy who's selling, stuff at the grocery store next door to you. You want them at that level.
Technology.
You don't want them. You want Chinese, build them here and bring them, have them fix roads or build some big skyscrapers. No, they're building houses right next to your house, the same house. They're buying up your land. They're buying up your family land. So we have to start looking at these things more aggressively.
Let me see if I can take a phone call there. Yes.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon.
With this conversation you're having there, Andy, don't pay that guy all no mind because he's missing the point and he's not really into the conversation like a person with good common sense, because the fact that he's missing the point you are making is a waste of your time to respond. But let me say this. Let all go study the market in Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, And I'm just doing that in the region. I'm not going out in the Pacific. I'm not going elsewhere where once they come in, they dominate. They have an upper hand because the government give them much better loans and make it possible for them. There is a series of articles called the China United Front. It's a series of articles how they put their things together to take over. When they come in, they have a system. And what Al is talking about, little 5 cents, 10-cent piece, I think he don't know what he's talking about. So don't waste your time. But Matt, I'm glad you back on that 120 acres piece of land piece. That 120 acre piece of land piece that Mr. Scary come on there and making it public and it's like somebody doing something. Matt, a snake always does that. That's what he's done. What he has done is allowed these things to go on. He's the main one behind it, selling foreign land to other people. He made it possible where foreigners could buy all kind of lands with passport privileges. And the people who are able to buy a passport and pay a couple $100,000 or whatever they take for them through in the back door, I don't know, they can afford to buy more land than the average Dominican can buy. Only the Nazis and the people like that with deep pockets can buy that kind of land in the country. So for a fool like that, it's calling and talking that nonsense, this kind of things irritates me sometimes. And what my point is, Matt, this man has done this and he's making it like somebody went around the law and got the land. If that's the case, you can rescind the sale.
Yeah, that's
because
very
if
true.
it goes against the rules,
Of the
laws
sale.
in the country,
Yeah,
it can be reversed.
yeah. Give them back their
Give
money.
the money back.
Yeah,
But that's not what he's doing. He's creating a smoke screen to make it look like it's somebody else did something and he just let it go and that's it. Something is wrong with that. It's more to that story than what meets the ears or what a man can see, my brother.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I agree. I definitely agree, Matt. I definitely agree with the caller. I'm gonna tell you, these things here, once they come to light, rules and regulations should be put in place. And Matt, I think Dominica was a very good place until Mr. Scarrett came up. And what's the name of Mr. Scarrett's first company, the one that we rent the house from in Mont Daniel? Isn't it what MMC, right?
MMC, yeah.
What does MMC stand for?
Montreal.
Montreal what? But it starts with Montreal.
Yeah.
Montreal management.
Mhm.
We didn't know we had a Montreal management in Dominica. I don't know where's the company registered.
And I wonder if
Where's that company
if
registered?
Mr. Scarrett just, gets out of office.
Yeah.
Do you think any other prime minister will go to that resident and rent the house for $64,000?
It would hurt my heart to see that happen because
Well, who else in Dominica? Let's get real. Who else in Dominica? Any manager under your big manager? Would you rent that house?
I wouldn't rent. Matt, a $64,000 a month mortgage. Do you know what that is? That is literally 64 times more than what most Dominicans make or can pay for every month. So you're living 64 times over everybody else. That's way too high. That's way too high. I don't mind you live 4 times, 5 times over some people, but 64 times? Most people make reasonable. Most people can afford a reasonable mortgage here, any about $2,000. Okay.
And the managers, say the bank managers, I know they are paid about $5,000.
They're $5,000 more.
$7,000,
Matt, I have not seen a mortgage that really accelerates over $6,000 in Dominica a month. This is the only one. I mean, we can run some statistics at the bank and see.
None.
But we don't have mortgages that run above, if it's not a commercial. I mean, barring commercial.
Right.
But this is a residential mortgage. Go ask the bank, any bank that comes in here, ask them how many mortgages that they actually do that are over $6,000 a month payment. Because keep this in mind, Matt. A lot of people don't know this.
You don't think you're in the real estate business for a little while?
Matt, I'm in the real estate business, so let me tell you about real estate because that's where I live. I mean, that's my home. That's my home field. That's my domain.
Right.
When a bank looks for somebody who wants to rent a house or wants to buy a house or wants to have a mortgage, they have to make at least 3.5 times whatever their mortgage is. So, meaning that if Mr. Scarrett went to the bank based on his working amount that we pay him monthly, and I'm just gonna rock it at 10,000. I think it's probably more.
12, maybe 12.
Okay, rock it at 12. Then his mortgage probably couldn't exceed $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Because the bank says, hey, I want to make sure that after you pay your mortgage, you can
eat.
You can eat. Not only that, you need to take care of anything that happens to the house with that money. You need to make sure if you have siblings or any wife or any children.
So they look at your other expenses.
But they're looking at those other expenses as well. So if you have to put that together, now maybe if you put him and his wife together, they both make a decent $20,000 a month. Divide that number by three, it should be 3.5. So okay, we'll give you the $7,000 or $8,000 number, but it's not 64. So something's drastically off. So any banker that you talk to, you could go in and see your banker. If you think I'm lying, go in and see your banker and ask them, how much can I afford? And they will tell you.
Nobody else in Dominica.
Nobody else in Dominica. Not even close. Only one.
I've heard the argument when people speak about it. Oh, he's the prime minister. He needs to be comfortable.
How comfortable? Well, what's uncomfortable?
I've heard the argument on the other side.
I understand, but what is comfortable? If most people live in $5,000, okay, I'm gonna give it to you. Most people live in $10,000 homes. I would say comfortable might be twice that. 10,000 multiplied by 2, you get 20,000. I don't see 64,000 working out in the equation. And keep in mind, Matt, that's just the mortgage. Most people use that number and don't understand that a mortgage comes with lots of other criteria.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to ask yourself, what are those dealings that are going on back behind us? Because the life that Mr. Scarrett lived does not make any financial sense. And I think you had somebody on your program this morning, Matt, talking about the 18, I think, delegates that we have right now that represent Dominica. And part of what we need to do is we need to cut our cost. Part of what we need to do is get efficient. Well, here it is that charity again begins at home. So I think it's time that our officials show us how they can get efficient. Because if our officials cannot set the example, then how do you think, if they cannot do it for their own selves, how do you think they're going to be able to do it for Dominica? And a lot of people say we have rampant spending in Dominica, or we have very high spending in Dominica. Well, yeah, look at how our prime minister lives. I mean, lives like a king. $64,000 mortgage for your house, plus whatever it takes to manage your house.
Electrical bills.
And I mean, you know what? The light bill, the water bill, plus the security bill. So when you have to add all those things, you see that this person is not very cost conscious.
It's more expensive than 64,000. Sure.
Exactly. So therefore, you're asking yourself, how can this person manage your affairs? So it's almost like going to your doctor, and your doctor is fat, and you go in and you tell your doctor, I want to lose some weight. There's no way it's going to work. It's just not going to work. You have the wrong. First thing you have to do is change doctors and get yourself a skinny doctor.
All right, let's see if we can take a phone call. Are you there, caller? I'm sorry we missed that call. 449-3095. We're having a conversation, a real conversation with businessman Andy Jolly. I want to go back to a statement we played earlier from Mr. Thompson Fontaine, the leader of the United Workers' Party. It's on the same subject. So let's move on.
We have a garbage problem in Dominica. The government.
Not this one. I'll go back to that one there as it relates to. Yes, we'll come back. Well, let's leave the garbage problem now. Yes, I can't believe
that kind of government. To believe that the government in office for 25 years cannot pick up its rubbish. I mean, what do we do with that kind of government? It's more than shame. It is unthinkable. You're in office for 25 years and you don't know how to pick up your rubbish. The leptospirosis has taken the lives of a few individuals. I don't understand this. So some time ago, with regards to the rubbish, somebody from Toronto contacted me and they says, Why don't you draft a letter to some of the municipalities, the mayor of Toronto, the mayor of the province of different provinces, and they gave me all the contact, the waste management people. So I said, let me just try that, to write a letter, to write the letters. So with their help, went online, wrote the letters, got back 3 responses. Okay, well, basically we said we have a situation in Dominica. Do you have gentle use trucks, garbage trucks that we can use in Dominica, and so on. And in every instance, they told me that they would assist, but it has to come from the government. Okay, so it means that our government has not been asking. Okay, I did it just as an ordinary citizen, a concerned citizen, writing to the mayor of Toronto saying, can you give us 5 garbage trucks because we have a garbage problem in Dominica? And he says, yes, although we don't have right now, but normally we would give 2 when it has to come. The request would have to come from your government. So that's just something to the government. They can write to the municipalities in Canada to get the garbage trucks that we need, since people are willing to donate to Dominica.
All right, the bankers already texting messages saying what?
Well, it's good that we have bankers out there listening because they know the stuff. So I mean, they know what it takes to get a mortgage. They know what the payments are. So let's hear what they have to say.
If you say, for example, that you're paying an installment of $7,000 over 20 years, the maximum loan on that would be $1.something million, and say at 5.5%.
Yeah.
If we say your rate is at 5%, the maximum loan you can get paying an installment of $7,000 over 20 years would be $1.something million.
Yeah.
So these are real figures.
Those are real figures. So you and I, obviously, you can see that we're at a different level here. I mean, two different things.
Why would you want to pay $64,000?
Matt, I honestly think I'm going to tell you what that is. I think the $64,000 is not a real number. There's some deal, some money laundering deal in there. There's some kickbacks going somewhere else. I don't think the $64,000 number is a real number.
You don't think so?
I'm going to tell you, Matt. I'm willing to bet my my index finger on it because the numbers don't add up. And
the math is not mathing.
The math is not mathing, yes. So the numbers don't add up. And not only that, Matt, the logic for it doesn't add up either. So obviously that $64,000 number is what we would call a pork belly number. There's a lot of pork in it. There's a lot of extra meat and fat you could probably cut out, a lot of bacon you could cut out of that. So that number is not a realistic number. So I know people use that number all the time. It would be nice to take a look and see where that money actually goes and to who it goes and what's the distribution on that money. But that money is definitely...
You need to track it down.
You have to track it down. So I don't think that number is a realistic number. I don't think the house is a realistic house either. And Matt, just think of this for a second. And I want you to think how I think as a real estate person. Here it is that you have a house that you're renting at $64,000 every month. If you annualize that $64,000 times 12, right? And then you have to look at the appreciation or the value of that house. That house does not have the value to create a $64,000 a month mortgage. It doesn't have the value. So there's a lot of excess. I mean, we're paying probably about 6 times what that house is really worth as a rental per month. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I rent houses all the time. I can tell you, when I rent a house, I rent it at $2,000 a month. I know that $12,000 amortized over X amount of years. I know what the payback will be for that. We've already paid for that house over and over again, several times over. So obviously that's why I'm here. Not only that, I don't know if you remember from the statements that he made a long time ago that he was not going to stay in that house for very long.
More than 2 years.
So this was supposed to be a 2-year commitment, which is now a 4-year commitment, which is now a I don't know how long commitment it is. So really and truly, here's where we are. One of the things that I don't like about our society and our news people here, Matt, is the fact that a lot of times we will have officials go up on the podium and they'll say certain things. And once those things are said, they get forgotten about and nobody retries them or retests them. So there is no postmortem on, hey, you said it was 2 years, now we're in 4 years. How long do you think it's going to be? Because
I think one reporter asked a question. He said they were having some problems.
With what?
The new house they were building.
Well, I understand that, but that's not our problem. Is that wasn't caused by the Dominican people. That was caused by somebody else or by himself. And everybody will want to put their problems on our back. So how do we end up paying for problems caused by something else? So now, what if we stay in this house for the next 10 years or 20 years? I mean, is that what we're gonna I beg anybody to take it on your calculator, take $64,000, amortize it by 12 by the amount of time that has already passed, and you will see that number is an astronomical number.
Maybe because 5 years would cost 3.8 million. I've done some figures here this morning. So let's get the calculators out again.
Yeah.
64,000 times 12 is 760,000 per year.
Per year.
Times 5 would be.
But make sure you amortize that with interest, man.
Oh, that's important too. That would be $3.8 million.
So you're looking at with interest, you're looking at least 4 million to 5 million with interest. With interest, you're looking at $5 million. A banker can probably tell us that right now. So we've already paid $5 million for this house. This house did not cost $5 million to build.
Wow.
So we've paid for this house already.
That's a reality there, right there.
That's a figure. I mean, and so this is why I'm telling you that I don't believe that the figures of this house are very real, because when we amortize it, not only that, keep in mind, Matt, anytime you take a house loan, usually 10, 20 years. So we've already paid for this house. This house has been paid off by the Dominican people.
You know, and we were doing the math there for the ministers of government. It's 18 ministers times $8,000.
Is it 8 or is it 8?
18 ministers.
Mm-hmm. And they get $8,000
a month. And that will take you to $144,000 per month times 12 equal 1.7 million times 5 years. That's 8.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
Let that sink in, somebody says. And of course, we heard these figures too also from the minister, the leader of the United Workers Party. He says that's how we're going to cut some spending. Let's listen again.
When you stop the $64,000 home, so you no longer have to pay $64,000 for rental. You no longer have to pay the 18 ministers and the 10 advisors. When you cut down on government waste, right there you have a lot of savings. But this will not be enough. But we'll start with that.
All right, so you heard the leader of the United Workers Party. We're going to cut on a lot of.
Well, and again, you have to realize Mr. Thompson Fontaine is he's a accountant.
Yeah,
I mean, he's economist. He's looking at the numbers. He's an economist. He's accountant. He's doing the numbers and he's doing the math. But why can't we, as normal people, do this math, though, Matt? Why are we, as regular Dominicans, who I believe most of us went to high school, most of us graduated? You understand?
We can invite and divide too.
Why can't we do this? Most of us have, and Dominica is actually one of the best, supposedly Caribbean islands where people actually own their homes.
That's true.
So a lot of people have loans. A lot of people have gotten loans. A lot of people have built their homes. A lot of people have walked into the bank and asked for money, and they've built houses successfully. So the same process that would apply to you should apply to Mr. Scary.
On the telephone, hello, talk to me. Yes. Sorry about that. We missed that call. I know a lot of people have been trying to call. So call again, 449-3095, 449-3096. We're talking some real numbers here this afternoon with Mr. Anderson Jolly. Of course, we also spoke about the rubbish issue that's not been resolved after, 25 years?
Well, man, I don't think it's not been resolved. I think I think, again, like I said, we have a government that's been in there for 25 years. There's some basic things that you should have under your belt. And my concern, Matt, is, and I think this is the concern of a lot of other people out there, even people that I talk to, they said you have to stress on the point. And the point really is, if you don't have the basic things under your belt, what do you have under your belt? I mean, if you cannot creep, you're not walking or you're not running. So if our government doesn't have the simplest things under control, what makes you think that they have the biggest things under control? And who's controlling those biggest things?
So the question is, Andy, why are the people of Dominica, and this is not political partisan, why are the people of Dominica, of course, continue to support the same?
I think lack of education. And we have a big fear of change in Dominica.
Fear of change.
People have a huge fear of change. I think they're afraid of the unknown. It's almost the devil that you know is better than the devil you don't know. And I get that sense from a lot of people. Even a lot of
They wouldn't take a chance.
people are not willing to take a chance here. I mean, our society is one that comes from a slavery mentality. And one of the things that you have to understand is that we've been burnt. I mean, we all have had a friend that, we lent something to and they never brought it back. We've all had somebody that you borrowed money to and they didn't pay you back. So our mentality is one that's very pre-slavery or even slavery mentality, where we're afraid of change. I think the biggest thing for people is that they don't know the unknown. A lot of us
Fear of the unknown.
fear of the unknown, I think, is the biggest number one factor. We don't know what's next. We don't know if we like it or if we don't like it. And I think for a lot of people, it's better to stay where you are. And what that has done, Matt, too, is cripple our society. And I want to tell you some examples of that. This has even happened to me several times, where I come in and I say, hey, guess what, guys? We are going to the left while we're doing business. What I want us to do today is I want us to go to the right. And this will be a new thing for us. And many people have a problem with just going to the right. They cannot change. People know the old way of doing things. They're very satisfied. Our system has not accelerated itself for that one simple fact. Many of our government regulations, our government rules, even our government ideas that we have are antiquated because we've never changed them.
Hello on the telephone, yes.
Hey, blessings to you.
Blessings to you, sir.
Did I hear Dr. Jolly say he lent me something and I did not bring it back? That's what he just said, man. Dr. Jolly, blessings to you, sir.
Blessings.
You need to get some Celtic salt, and bring in your supermarket. Celtic salt. Very interesting salt. Matt, just quickly, Dr. Jolly, I'm glad I heard you say that education. And it's not a one-off thing. Some people say, but they hear you so many times. Andy, there is a word they call motivation, Andy?
Yeah. I know about it, and I think many people know about it. The problem is that, again, it's something that's real in our society. It's out there, but there's really no way to fix it unless we have good education.
I am saying, education is one, like a child will go to school, but can you imagine your mother, your father, or you have a teacher that takes you personally and are motivating you with all the great examples and references and speeches, encouragement, and all of that. And I think based on the same level, and I will say it, the level of ignorance that exists in Dominica, there is the heights of ignorance, and it is frightening. And the psychology to manipulate the minds of the people. I was telling that to Matt this morning. The reverse psychology creating a false scarcity. Let me see if I can say that again. The reverse psychology of creating a false sense of scarcity, if that is the right thing. So the garbage truck, things are rough and we don't have. Can you imagine, Andy? A man is owing you and he's walking in rags. Would you want to fight with him, Andy?
you brought.
Man is owing you. And he have a bad BMW driving, he have gold chain, he have things. And that is what that man is doing, and Dominicans are still not fighting. And you saw the shirt now? $495 US dollars. You saw it, Andy?
But supposedly it was a gift. And I don't know, our prime minister is actually not supposed to be accepting any gifts. And neither should any of the government ministers, because the minute that you accept gifts, Matt, then that sets precedence. So by our prime minister even coming out and telling us that he's accepting gifts from people, or he's showing that he's accepting gifts from people, that is doing us a big disservice.
No, but the thing is, whenever you accept a gift, it has to be submitted to the state. If it is below maybe $100 or $200, maybe somebody can correct me.
I think I may be wrong. I think $1,000 is the maximum.
Yeah, there's something.
$1,000.
Yes.
Okay, I am just saying, Mr. Jolly, when I look at what is happening, there is not sufficient sacrifice, and I'm not saying that to flatter you or anything, like you are making. Because if you have to take everything into consideration, you would not be there. You're making a sacrifice. And a lot of people, they do not understand. I will conclude there. Fear have a frozen and paralyzing effect that make you indecisive or just stagnant. You don't know if you're going, you don't know if you're coming, you're indecisive. You're frozen in fear, yeah, you're already frozen. Okay? And you're paralyzed because you're not moving. No matter how much you see the man that owing you millions of dollars and he dressing in all kind of expensive things, building mansions, and you're not fighting. You're fearful. You cannot be that fanatical, that extreme in your support for somebody that is abusing you, enslaving you, robbing you blind, and you're being inactive, you're not moving. So to me, my brethren, it's a very complex situation to those who are puzzled by it. But to me, it is obvious, it is clear. I could clearly see the strategy these criminals are using to keep the people in poverty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Before you answer that, Andy, let's listen to this voice now here.
Thank you, Dr. Jolly, for telling Matt about those journalists that doesn't follow up. That is my constant beef with the journalists of Dominica. They go into press conference, they take in what they hear, big song bite, headlines on news. And next time when they go back and nothing not being done, they're not asking any follow-up questions on all the song bites and the pronouncements that were made. Matt, make sure you're taking your notes for next press conference, Mr. Matt, Cody, Mr. Maglo. Bye-bye.
All right, give me my blows. All right, so 449-3095-96 and 97. These are the numbers to call. Let's take another phone call. Yes,
Yes, good day.
Good day, sir.
Listen, I just want to clarify something. Over the past 3-4 election cycles, what the Labour Party has done, it has done an analysis of the different constituencies. And in constituencies where it expects to lose, it brings in enough voters from overseas to enable it to win in those constituencies. And that's the main reason why the Labour Party is still in power. Not because of fear or people don't want change. It's because it has been manipulating the electoral system through the use of the foreign vote. And that's a fact. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Well, Matt, we've had some interesting callers here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could say that. We could say that, but to the point. For instance, man, I'm just gonna put this out there for you, and I come on your show, and I love to spend time here and talk to you. We talk as brothers, and we sit there and we laugh and we joke. But but a lot of the issues that we talk about are serious business. For instance, I'm going to tell you, we have a huge parking issue still that persists, and we talked about this parking issue 2 years ago, and I came in and I said, hey guys, here's the thing. Why don't we just do this? Why don't we decide we're going to all park on the right side or the left side of the road?
Simple solution.
Very simple solution. It's done in so many countries. You go to the French countries, they do it. They park on one side. Everybody decides we're all going to park on the right-hand side. That way the left-hand side is left for cars to move through. We're all going to decide, hey, here's the deal. Create bus access, simple bus access that people can find a playing field. Maybe it's the Goodwill playing field. Maybe it's the Newtown playing field. Park your car and the bus will bring you into Roseau for free. Create simple solutions. Matt, up to today, those solutions have fallen on deaf ears. So when you can see, even though, and Blessings talked about he can see things, even though people can see things, and even though is we can offer ideas, and people say, well, hey, why don't we try this instead? Matt, one of the problems that we have with this administration, the conversation is not even on the table. Like, I'm telling you about the parking issue. Well, nobody else is discussing it. I'm telling you about the traffic issue, and nobody else is discussing it. So, how are we expecting to solve things in Dominica that nobody is discussing? How can we solve our rubbish issue if we cannot talk to the person in charge of solid waste? If I was the person in charge of solid waste, I would be so embarrassed, Matt, that I am doing this job. I would show up here, and even though I had a problem, I would show up on the radio just to explain to you, Matt, here's the problem with solid waste right now. We ordered trucks and maybe they didn't come on the boat. Maybe we ordered, maybe a couple of our trucks broke down. We're getting in a mechanic from Antigua or from St. Lucia. Tell us what's going on. But Matt, often your show brings up really good ideas and really good issues, but nobody takes it from here. It just stays in here. If you could probably put a board in your office right now and say, what are the issues we're talking about? We're talking about traffic today. Here's who's responsible for the traffic. I'm going to have them on the show tomorrow. Okay, we're talking about rubbish tomorrow. Here's who's responsible for rubbish. I'm going to bring them on my show to explain. It's very hard for people to come in here and really empty their bellies of all these issues. And then tomorrow's show is going to be something totally different because nobody comes in and says, you know what, yesterday I heard you talk on your show and you talked about garbage. I am the man responsible for garbage. I am going to clear my name. I do not want my name. But nobody cares. You know, like today we're talking about lack of investment in Dominica or too much Chinese investment. Do you think Mr. Scarrett's going to pick up his phone and call you tomorrow and say, look, I am the minister responsible for investment, and here's what's going on in the investment world in Dominica? Maybe what we said was true, or maybe what we said was a lie. But the point remains that the issues are not being tackled at all. None of these issues that are talked about here are being addressed by the people. We talked about police brutalization. I expected to see probably Mr. Blackmore in here, maybe the police commissioner in here the next day saying, here's why these things are happening, because so-and-so maybe violated this right or so-and-so. But nothing happens. Nobody shows up to clear the name, which leads me to think, Matt, nobody is responsible for any of the issues in Dominica. They never get talked about. They will never get solved.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Dominica will come back right after this. We're talking to Mr. Andy Jolly.
Right now, I saw one last barbecue grill is up for grabs. Compliments, fine pudding. This promotion is gonna run from May 24th to June 15th. Let me tell you how you can enter the draw. Purchase one bottle of Angostura 5-year-old rum or one bottle of single barrel. Place your name and number behind your receipt. Drop it into an Insta box at all major supermarkets island-wide. Where is all this heat coming from? But Daddy, what's your money grill? This is what it is. Let's fire up this Father's Day. Don't delay. Purchase today and win one large barbecue grill. Come on.
June month end to the first week in July. All roads lead to Scott's Head for the Grand Cool Reunion Festival, beginning Friday, June 27th with sounds of praise to the Most High, lively cultural performances, followed by Soir l'Histoire, a night of powerful, topical, juicy history with Dr. Lennox Hunter, followed by the Super Block finale. Saturday 20th, Saki Sabukabu's in spectacular carnival style, followed by Dr. Mika Labadie and Dropping. Sunday 30th, church service, then village festival with the Unstoppable Person Serenade. Tuesday, July 1st, trip to Kalinago Territory. Wednesday, July 2nd, the Dog Loop and Big Money Bingo. Tuesday, July 3rd, beach party and talent night with special guest Franklin Moses. Friday, July 4th, grand dinner and dance. Saturday, fifth, the highly anticipated return of Connect Online with Midnight Movement. Sunday, July 6th, Super Black extra cold coupons only $3 for $10. Raffle to include a large screen, smart television, and multiple smartphone devices. Don't miss the Scott's Head Cash a Cool reunion. June month into the first week of July. Sponsored by Belfast Estate, Couplet Bear, DNO, Q95, and Creole Heartbeats. Look at people!
Coolest deal yet. It's summer sale at Freestech and Electric. Ready to chill out this summer? We've got you covered. For a limited time only, enjoy a refreshing 20 to 25% off on all air conditioning units, all sizes and types, high wall, cassette, and dockable, while supplies last. Don't sweat through another scorching day. Upgrade your comfort and save big. Visit us today at Freestech and Electric in Castle Comfort or call 1767-440-6717 and feel the difference. But hurry, once they're gone, they're gone. That's how you go in. I'm going to buy Castle Comfort there, by Freestech and Electric. I'm going to get the AC boy. They are sale. Let's go check that boy.
All right, Dominica, we're back. And of course, we're taking your questions as usual. We have a lot of comments on Facebook that, of course, we're reading and paying attention. Somebody said, Marlon Schillenfeld says, greetings, Matt, Andy. We are listening. I see another comment there from Marvin Boland. It says, get Matt off his radio. I've said to this guy is constantly on my case. I've said, would you ever allow a carpenter to fly a plane?
Wait,
that's how I want to deal with him. I guess you can't allow a carpenter to fly a plane.
Yeah. Well, or your grandmother say don't throw stone green mango. Don't green. It's not good. Well, Matt, I am going to tell you. Whether and don't get me wrong, not every topic that you have that I agree with or I disagree with.
And I of course I agree.
But journalism and the young lady that called a little while ago to give you 2 punches under your stomach and say, Matt, make sure you listen so next time you go to the next press meeting. I will tell you that journalism is something that people should appreciate. I wonder about people like that who actually they kill the messenger. They don't listen to the message. So a lot of times, it's nice to have free and fair talk, and it's nice to have an exchange of ideas. But one of the things that you will notice about even, and I'm going to not blame just labor rights alone. I'm going to blame even the ministry under the whole labor ministry and the government, is that there's not a very fair and free flowing form of ideas here. So again, it makes me believe that it's very difficult to fix anything simply because, Matt, I've seen you gone up there and I've seen you ask some really, really tough questions. And I know you've had your fair run-ins with Mr. Scarrett. Didn't he take you to court or something like that?
Many years ago.
Yeah, he took you to court a few years back. So I've known, but the questions you ask sometimes, they don't get answered appropriately, or they don't get answered with very truthful and meaningful answers. So it's very, very hard to trust whatever he says. And not only that, if you know somebody's lying to you, why make a headline out of it? Because half the time Mr. Scarrett's answering questions, it's almost jokeful. And like we were mentioning a while ago, a lot of times that I think questions are put forward to Mr. Scarrett, they're almost made up questions, or people that are invited to ask those questions to make him seem or talk about something that he understands. So when you have those tricks being played, in the media, then it doesn't show the rest of the media in a positive light. So I tell people out there, whether you like Matt or you don't like Matt, listen to the ideas, and it's nice that people are free to comment. If you have something to say that's educated and not bashful or biased, please bring it on the table, because we have problems. We're looking for solutions. We're looking for ways to fix things.
We always give solutions. Sometimes
but the solutions don't get taken. And I don't care whether they take our solutions, but do something about it. Okay, you're fine. You don't want to get more garbage trucks. Andy said get more garbage trucks. You don't want to get more garbage trucks. Fine. Figure out a way to get the garbage off the road. I don't care how the garbage moves off the road. The whole idea is that we want it handled.
And you made a point earlier, Andy, as it relates to solving our traffic problem in the city.
Yeah.
Just park on one side.
Just park on one. It's very simple.
And the problem is solved.
The problem would be solved. And then if you want to go a first step further, you could say, hey, let's get all the bus stations or all the bus stops out of Roseau.
Let's create a traffic garage.
Let's create some sort of hub, a traffic hub.
You even volunteer to create the hub that we talking about.
I would definitely invest in it. I'm going to tell you, parking garages are a good investment, a structural good investment. It's an investment in real estate, Matt, and that's where, again, my backyard is. I would get some investors together and we could build a nice parking garage. Again, all those things are ideas there. But again, the government has to step in and say, hey, guess what? I want the cars out of Roseau. That would force people to park out of Roseau. That would force people to move those vehicles out of Roseau. The government would have to say, here's the thing, we're moving the vehicles out of Roseau. You're able to use parking garage number A. They would allow you to direct traffic around the roads to make sure that people could get in and out of those structures carefully. Again, all these things are administrative things that could be taken care of with the stroke of a pen.
1, 2, 3. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes.
Andy, how you doing?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Blue Blue. How you doing?
Good. That parking situation which you're talking about,
yes,
one-side parking. Might you remember a couple of years ago, I think I tried that in Newtown, right? Yes.
I think they extended the sidewalks in Newtown too. I think
they tried that people parking on one side of the road in the Newtown area.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, some policemen that know what they're supposed to do would park there and they would go and get their bread by one of the bread depots. They would never get a ticket. But the same policeman, if an ordinary person does it, they would give them a ticket for doing that. And they know what they are doing is wrong. That used to be around the Newtown area, park on one side. But it was for one side, and the others will have to pay the penalty. On the question of the $64,000 rent, I always had that question. Who pick up that check? Who does the government write that check to every month? Is it to MMCE? Have anybody seen that check made out to MMCE? Is it a company or who the hell it is? We don't know. All we hear is MMCE or MMCI. That is the owner of the building. We're paying $64,000 for monthly, plus our utility bills is over $10,000. Can you believe that? In that place. Who is that $64,000 going to? And if you're getting $10,000 or $12,000 a month between you and your wife, how the hell can you be building that mausoleum in the yard on the next lot? How? Why are you doing that? How much money you get in so you can build that house? Did you take a loan? Does everybody know if that man take a loan to build that house he building in the yard? No. Some stupid people like that, he working hard. That's so sickening, it's not funny. Everybody working hard. Public servants working hard, and they don't get that kind of leeway. Why are you giving him that leeway? And saying he's working hard. What hard he working? Every damn with the man out of the state. Sometimes 3-4 times a week. He's out. And he getting paid for that. Plus he getting an allowance, I think, for $400 US a day. I mean, give me a break, man. Who does that? That is just stupid and it's going on in our country. And we just playing a blind eye to it and saying, what can we do now? If you take out one and you put the other, you don't know what will happen. So you have a husband and he beating you all the time. Plus he's not taking care of you and the kids properly. Why the hell you doesn't stay with your husband? Why are you leaving him and divorcing him for? You shouldn't divorce him. You should stay and get kick your cup and no money. But they will divorce. But they same people now will tell you, oh, what am I going to do? And do just what you have to do, get the simple damn backside out of the place. And let us put people in place that you know that can run the country for betterment of yourself, your children, and your grandchildren. Come on, man. Bye.
Oh boy, Blue, you have a young kid there. Come on, boy, bye. Now, somebody says a Rosso bus depot, left side, the right side, alternating the streets to park, like many other countries, and tickets being issued. If not followed, now the city can make money off the tickets. So you think about the tickets?
Well,
ticket meters.
Well, again, like I said, it doesn't matter what we do. It's just that, as I said, we need to start putting these important discussions on the table and clarifying them and seeing how we want to deal with them, because nobody's dealing with them. And however we decide to go forward with it, we do that as a community, but we haven't decided to go forward with anything as yet. And it's surprising to see that we have a traffic department that is there's somebody at traffic responsible for this. There's somebody at traffic responsible for the congestion. There's somebody at traffic responsible to make sure that people park in the right places. There's somebody at traffic responsible for all these different things. So that person needs to come and give us an explanation as to how that's done. Because whatever system we have now, Matt, is not working. It is failing, and it is failing horribly. It is because the city is becoming more congested. People are losing time and they're losing efficiency in whatever they're doing. The business places are suffering. When you have to have your truck or your employees in traffic for 30 to 40 minutes to get across a town that is 4 minutes wide, if there's no traffic, then we have a problem. We need to look at it. And you know what, Matt? I do not see us working on. Here's the thing. If we improve the efficiency of the country, or if we fix these things, the government doesn't realize that they will generate even more revenue from fixing these issues. If we decide that when people park on the wrong side of the road, we ticket them, that's more revenue that we can create for the government. So let's all get together and decide what the plan is, and let's make sure everybody sticks with the plan. And very often, Blue brought a very, very important point to the table, Matt, and I don't know if you recognize that things get started, but they get disrupted by the same people sometimes who start them, and they never get continued. Again, this is something in Dominica. And you know where you see that the most prevalent, Matt? Helmets. Remember one time they were on top of helmets every time somebody dies from a head injury, or seat belts.
And seat belts, yeah, you're right.
Every time that happens, Matt, the police officer is stopping you and want to ticket you for a seatbelt. Again, and not only that, the last point that Blue brought to your attention, and I don't know if you noticed that as yet, is that when we make the rules, the government officials have to be, or I'm going to put government officials, or the civil servants, or the people that we hire, need to be the rule followers as well. Very often, the people in charge think that they can break the rules. There's a number of times that I pass around and I see a GA on a keep clear sign, and the GA gets refused for a ticket. But if you park your vehicle there, Matt, there's going to be somebody ticketing you as soon as you step on there. So we have to understand that the officials that are the rule makers also have to be the rule followers. So Blue did bring 3 important points to the table.
All right, 449-3095, 449-3096, and 97. Hello, talk to me, please. Yes. Caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah. I just like to weigh in on that discussion going on there.
Okay.
In terms of packing, I think the time has come so we set up as Jolly was saying, a massive packing program in the country. One of the areas they're looking at is that old public works garage. That too should be converted into a massive packing terminal for the country. High-rise building, downstairs of that, you have business cut up, and you have your parking inside there for buses. People can take a shuttle from there to shows or walk through. The other one is seaforth by the riverbank. Again, you can easily put a massive parking area in that area. There's also a parking at the front of it that was started by the apartments there, and that needs to be really rehabilitated and set up. Even under the mango trees, they could go into and set up parking, high-rise parking again. Then the Roseau. This is an eyesore. We have a couple old buildings that need to be harvested and turned into what you call blended arcades. Cut up, build high-rise there, cut them up in cubicles, and take out all the vendors on the road. Open up the sidewalks for people. Cut this arcade into cubicles, rent that for people, and let the people vent from inside of it. So vending is really a major issue that needs to be tackled. So it's blocking too much of the sidewalks. The question of waste. I think, first of all, the parliament, there's too many constituencies in Dominica. Dominica, to me, should have about, you got to go back to about 11 constituencies or 15 constituencies. And that is from there the way it started. Too many constituencies, too many ministers. So we need to redesign that system there and cut out a lot of waste. When on public service, there's only 6 ministries and Dominica is running with a bigger population and less movement of into the road network, into the telecommunication. So you cannot easily redesign that system again. The Ministry of Education is another one where you have a lot of money being spent on schools that to me are not necessary. The concept of a district school, to me, should have district schools where you can bring both the children to one school, give that school a lot of work, and clear the waste. You can have a school with 20-something teachers, you have 20-something pupils there, and you have 3-4 teachers there. Like the overheads and other things maintain the school. If the Ministry of Education seriously do analysis and come up with a plan to set up district schools where they can actually bring the children to the school, give them a whole day school, you can have your feeding program there, create your avenue for sports and other activities. I think that is an area we can cut out a lot of waste in Dominica. And at the concept again of waste, we have a lot of buildings that mongoose that need to be re-roofed, set up for people in the government to use properly. Cut out waste. A lot of waste is happening in the country. I respect it on these reports.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, you're making a very important, especially.
Oh, the caller. I mean, you should. I mean, literally, you should walk up to the ministry and just write those things down, and hopefully, everybody can pay attention.
Yes, these are government buildings in Monroe.
There's a lot of government buildings not in use, Matt. A lot of government land not in use.
Instead, they prefer the Fortune Hotel.
Matt, it's just the inefficiency of the government, and it just goes to show what type of inefficient government that we have. Dominica has a lot of resources. Dominica has a lot of smart people in Dominica. Dominica has a lot of people that are willing to work. The question is our government allowing them to work? Is our government allowing those people to think? Is the government allowing those people to participate? You know, man, I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to bring this to your attention right now. Mm-hmm. The caller raised so many important points. There's one thing I disagree with him on. I'm going to tell you flat off. Caller, I think you did an excellent job other than the one thing you agreed on. 11 or 13 ministries is still too much for a 50,000 population. We could go down to 5 ministries. One person for each 10,000 people. We do not have 100,000 people in Dominica. There's no need. Matt, just look at the other Caribbean islands.
Hold on. I'm laying that responsibility on you, Andy. So how would you break it down to get less?
One person per every 10,000 people. That's what the other islands have. We don't need 21 people running 50,000 people. That ratio is just...
that's for a town. A town in the States.
That's a town. You're running a town. You run a town with 6 people. If you do 5 or 7 people, I mean, that's fine because you have to have one person off so that if you call a vote,
yes,
you understand, you can balance off somebody has to have the tiebreaker. But Matt, I'm going to tell Dominica how inefficient we are right now. If we were to build our computer data systems and put them to work in Dominica, we could probably have free people running Dominica. And that's how inefficient we probably are right now. If you have to look at this right now, the computers at the financial center don't talk to the computers at the ministry, and you know they're right across the road from each other, and those have no links together. Right now, we have the computers at the immigration. They don't talk to all the computers. So if we can create some harmony and some efficiency in that, we would be able to really go ahead and harness taking care of putting other people to work in other departments, creating some more efficiency for the government. Right now, we don't have an efficient computer system or network right now in the government system. So therefore, literally, if somebody has to be at the Ministry of Finance, they literally have to walk across the road to the ministry to get what they need and then walk back across the road to the financial center. How can we, in an age of 2025, we have to be able to fix those things? Computers need to talk to each other. We need to have the immigration system talking to the police system, talking to the hospital system, talking to all the emergency systems. We should have those things up and running right now. We should have better networks, better communication among government officials. But right now, we're hiring a lot of people and we're creating a lot of inefficiency. I think we need people to start discussing those issues. We need people to sit down on the table and really say, hey, how can we approach these issues? How can we approach the properties that are derelict in Roseau? How can we sell those or put them in the hands of people that can do something with them? How can we upgrade our systems at the hospital? I'm going to tell you, I am so dissatisfied with the payments in terms of the wages for our civil servants in Dominica. Our civil servants are being paid less than any other island in the Caribbean. I mean, they might as well be volunteering, if you ask me, with the pay that they're getting right now. Our civil servants are not being paid correctly. And Matt, you know how we know that? Because they're leaving. Half the time they get a job in a different country, they get opportunities elsewhere, and they are bye-bye Dominica. They are bye-bye. So we now have to get volunteers from Cuba. We now have to get volunteers from Venezuela. We now have to get people who do not even speak our language to try to help us, because those people see Dominica as an opportunity because they don't have the same types of opportunity in their home country. So what we need to do, we need to pay civil servants better. We need to fix our technology in Dominica. We need to start discussing and bringing real ideas to the table. And one, we need to have our politicians stop lying to us. And I don't know, Matt, if you went up and I don't think you visited the rally that we had.
No,
In Dubla.
No,
I don't think you visited, but I
looked.
think you listened and you
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit on your station. But I was so disappointed. And you know why I was disappointed?
Why?
After 70 years, if you tell me I'm 70 years old, Matt, I am going to boast so many things to you. There was nothing that they could boast. There was nothing. There wasn't any major accomplishment after 70 years of labor.
What I heard the most is they spoke a lot about the housing, that the housing developments.
Matt, that is not a major accomplishment.
For them, it was. For them, it was.
So they gave people houses?
Yes.
Matt, the major accomplishment would have come if they would allow people to buy their own houses. We gave them jobs, they saved their money, and they bought their own houses. That is an accomplishment. Giving people things is not an accomplishment. We need to change that idea in people's mentality. When you give a man something, you call him a failure. You basically are telling him you are not good enough to accomplish this for yourself. So I am going to do it for you.
In other words,
that is an embarrassment.
I teach you to fish. I don't give you fish.
Exactly. But when the man gives you a fish, that is an embarrassment. That is an insult. Now, if a guy give you a gift, he give you a gift. He says, "Matt, you're doing okay. Take a beer on me." Okay, I'm taking a beer. But if every day I have to go to the bar to buy you a beer, Matt, then that is a problem.
Something is wrong.
You understand? So here it is again that we have the people looking at things the wrong way. And that rally after 70 years, and I'm going to just cut it down to 25 years, you had nothing to really boast on, And I am telling you, we are not getting it right. We are making all the wrong moves. Matt, a couple years ago, I don't know if you remember this, we had all these power failures and we had a generator shortage and we were losing electric lights
only
every
recently.
weekend. Yeah, just a couple years ago.
Yeah, only recently.
Matt, what have we done since then to change it? We've got new generators. Okay, all right. Did that solve the problem?
Not really.
Is it going to? We have summer coming up again here in 2 months. It's going to get really hot very soon. And then guess what? Okay, you solved the problem. You added a few more generators. You also added a few more bucks to our light bill as well. But Matt,
But now these days they talk about geothermal.
Matt, the geothermal is not for us. I don't know. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about the geothermal. The geothermal, I don't know if you know the history of the project.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you one important question, and if you can answer me correctly, I'm going to literally buy you lunch today. Right, Matt? Who is funding the geothermal right now? Who's funding it?
It's an international company.
I know, but who's funding it? Do you know who they are?
Not really. I've heard about it.
Because the French started running it, and then they begged for help on this side, and then we begged. Really and truly, we don't know who's funding this project, and we don't even know if it's coming to light and when it's coming to light.
As a matter of fact, I know that maybe the Israelis may be involved.
That's true.
Because I know that recently we had 2 engineers from Domlek going to Israel to learn how to manage these things.
Exactly. And then when the power comes out from the geothermal, who is it going to go to? So we are now going to not pay any because it's free power from a volcano, right? So are we not going to pay any more Domlek anymore when this comes on stream? Is that the plan?
No, I think they're renting out this geothermal plant to a foreigner. We have to pay them back in maybe 25 years.
So we're going to pay somebody back. So does that mean our Domlek bill is going to go up or go down? So here's what I'm saying. We could have invested in some solar farms.
Mm-hmm.
We could have invested in some wind farms. And all we would have had to do is buy the machinery, mount it up, and connect it to a battery. And we would have been good. We could have just done that simple thing. However, we have been invested in this geothermal for so many years. I think it's over 20 years right now.
You're making a significant point there, Andy, because most of the big businesses, and I can call the name Nassif's own, KFC,
Jollies,
Fresh Market,
Jollies, highly invested in solar.
And they're doing very well.
We're doing good. The sun is helping us. Thank you, Jesus, for sunlight.
Or else you'll have an exorbitant bill.
But Matt, you know what? I'm going to tell you one of the problems that I learned off.
Okay.
Several of those people have that you've just called their names at. Those people have extra power coming from their solar panels. And they are not allowing them to return it to the grid for proper credit.
Why?
I don't know. That's the next question you ask at the press conference next time. Because here's the thing. Let's say the Nassifs make too much power on their grid and his properties all lit up, or Jollies makes too much power on the grid. We cannot do anything else with that power. We just have to suck that power and waste it.
They won't allow you to share that?
They're not allowing us to share it back to the grid.
Interesting.
So people could get a discount on their bill if we could give them power. But that's not being allowed very fruitfully in Dominica.
That's a question we need to ask Domlek.
Well, let's get them on your show. You can get them on here tomorrow and find out, hey, if for instance, I went ahead and I put down 10 solar panels and I had some extra power, can I take that extra power and can I give it or sell it to Domlek at a price, and can Domlek give it to somebody else at a discounted price.
But of course, the government of Dominica is a major shareholder.
Well, let's find out. Let's ask the question. We just raised a major input because you know what? I would go put up another 100 solar panels right now because I think I could create power cheaper and cleaner than what Domlec is offering.
Interesting revelation there.
There we go. Again, simple things to get us moving ahead and make things cheaper for so many people in Dominica.
Wow. Very interesting. Why would it not take your
Well, we got to find out what's going on. If you can find out what's going on, again, you get a journalist prize.
Very interesting. On the telephone. Yes. Good afternoon. Yes. Good afternoon.
Just like speaking about the water, Dawasco water. A couple of years back, I could recall when they put that huge tank on Monbrose, they said, what's the purpose for them putting that tank there? It will be serving the people when cruise ship come and when this happen and when up to now, I don't think nothing coming out of that. Before rainfall, and they said that when rainfall, we will be getting silt in our water. And before little rainfall, the water dirty. They just do a plumbing somewhere that miles away from me. When you open my water dirty. In this modern day and age, what is Dawasco doing about that? We pay an extra $15 every month for our water. You know how large water.
And you're right in the Blue Loop. Just I think recently he said that they're going to change the rates again, so he'll make it cheaper for you. But we've not made it happen.
We haven't done that yet.
No, I don't know what's going on.
That extra $15 for you to know when the water is dirty. You have just got a water bowl and plastic water bowl and put the water in it and let it relax. And you see the amount of dirt we drinking. A lot of people taking in a lot of dirt from them water there. And we don't know. We don't know the water killing people slowly because of the dirtiness that's in it. And nothing has been done about it. You're paying extra money. Imagine you're not living in a house, right? The house has been vacant. You know, every month you're paying Dawasco $30-something just for their meter. What is that? $30-something every month for their meter, and not one glass of water coming out from the pipe. It was $20, I think, or less, and they bring it up to $36 or $35. That is nonsense. And we just sitting down there, but if all Dominican neighbors swinging like me, I think something would change in Dominica. Would be having riots. What's happening in California right now? People standing up there. Would be either having that or something would happen. But we are sitting down with a laissez-faire, passive, stupid attitude. But I can't do no. I alone cannot do that. You alone can do it sometimes. Because when you say certain things on the radio, they're taking it in. But they're doing it in another way for us not to see. That's what they're taking. But we not. I'll give you an example. I'm so Jolie. With that parking business. In front of Melissa business, her red office. People park in there all the time. People go in there to her, or maybe just park in there. Sometimes half on the road and half on the pavement by her there. You know, only one person that getting a ticket when he parks there to go and just put something in his business right there, and he parking totally off the road. He parking there, and he getting a ticket for that one day, as he tell me that. I say, that way. I happen to go down the road, I coming back up. Here, a vehicle there. But he got a ticket, for parking on that same spot there. And even further in, he got a ticket. But when I see that, I took the picture of it and I sent it to him. I said, if you go, they're taking you to court, don't pay no damn bill. They take you to court, use that as your evidence. I got a ticket for parking and I always park in parallel. What I doing there and no ticket on it. And the vehicle number and all, they would have to do what they have to do. Have a blessed day again. Bye bye.
All right.
Well,
Blue
well,
investigative
I
journalist.
know. Blue. Well, we should make Blue an honorable journalist just to make sure that she can get to the bottom of everything. But she does raise a couple good points. And Matt, I had a funny thing happen at one of my properties. I had a water bill that I mean literally came out for $200 a month. 200 and almost $50 for the month. So I went to pay it, and I'm talking to one of my friends, and he's telling me, man, your water bill is high. He says in Antigua they make water because they desalinate water, right?
Right.
Antigua's water bill is cheaper than us. In St. Martin, they make water, and their water bill is per month is literally cheaper than us. And here it is in Dominica and a lot of other islands too. Here it is in Dominica that we have so much rainfall, right? Free of charge, Matt. I don't think anybody pays for the rain, right? Nobody pays for the rain. But here it is that we have free rainfall in Dominica, and we have
flowing
rivers in Dominica. And all the Wasco really has to do is channel the water correctly to the right place and make sure the water is healthy for us to drink. And those two things cost us more money than the water that they're making in Antigua. Now, don't get me wrong.
They said the infrastructure for getting the water to your
home. But Matt, Antigua has infrastructure, St. Martin has infrastructure, and they make water. You have to understand, you are taking water from the sea and you are recreating that water into drinkable, usable water. But their water is cheaper than us in Dominica that have free water. So what are we getting for free? Are we really getting water for free, or are we getting, we seem to be paying more for water here than anywhere else. Don't get me wrong. I wish it was better, cleaner, and safer for us. But as Blue pointed out, every time you open your tap, is the color of the water doesn't look like water no more. So I don't know if they are testing the quality of our water. But I have to tell the Wasco, step up your game. For the price that we're paying, man, the question is, are we getting the quality we deserve? And that's the only question I want to ask people today. Take a look at your water bill and open your faucet. Just for drinking, I have a house. Drinking, taking a shower, and I'm hardly home. My bill goes up to $100 and something a month, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ of mercy, how are normal people that are using water affording this?
We'll discuss that. I think I've invited Mr. Michael Astafan to go deeper, because since he spoke about it, they made an announcement that they're going to go back to the rates there. So we'll see what happens.
But man, it's not even the rate; it's the rental of the meter and the quality of the water. So if
you don't pay your money on time, you have to pay an extra $100.
Well, but exactly. But Matt, here's the thing: I do not have a problem with paying. What I would like to do is make sure when I pay, I get the quality that I am paying for. And I don't think we're getting the quality of water that we should right now in Dominica.
Hello.
And I think we're paying.
Are you there?
Hello.
Yes, hello. Yes.
Yeah. Peace and blessings. Blessed day.
Peace and blessings to you. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Jolly, it's amazing. It's always refreshing to hear your points when you come in the show. Now, you made a point about being efficiency, and that is something so much here that it's lacking when we talk about efficiency and how some of these offices, especially government offices, are ran. And, for Dominica to be such a small island, 50,000, 55,000 people, to have 18 representatives. I remember going to and see my para rep for Fort Nay. And it's been 3 years. Every time I go to see her, she's away. She'll call you back. She'll get back in touch with you. And maybe they figured I haven't voted for them or something. And my thing is like, what are they doing? What are they doing to have these positions? And, they're just in office for what? What is the purpose of their office? And another point I'd like to make, and for you, Mr. Jolly, I'd like to pose that question to you as a businessman. Now, for people coming to Dominica, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, for people coming here to Dominica to say to invest in Dominica. As a business person and an educated person, I moved back to Dominica 4 years ago and take my little savings, the little money that I had, to come and to build a business here in Dominica. But really, you do not see any return on investment, here in Dominica, especially as a small business. I don't have millions to invest. You don't see any return on investment here. So to say to someone, come back home, come back to invest in Dominica, or to bring your education to Dominica to make Dominica a better place, but really you're being stifled. In businesses, you see only a few people who are getting these grants, and it's the same people. If you really, go back and you check, it's the same people over and over that are getting the grants, and not new, fresh people. And then you have people who are educated trying to get into some of these offices that are not given the opportunity. So the thing is, do you really want people to come here and make a change? Are you really given the opportunity to make the change, to be in offices? A lot of people are grandfathered into these offices and are complacent. They're not doing anything, but yet still they don't want fresh blood to come in and to change or to do something different or to bring their knowledge here so that we can run as a better country, moving Dominica forward. Dominica has been stagnant. When I came here, they said that all these programs they were going to implement. When I came down here, you know what they said? Well, it's on paper, but we haven't implemented it yet. So really and truly, it's really sad. It's really sad. And probably if I did not take everything and came back here to Dominica, to invest, I probably would just come and just visit Dominica instead of returning here to Dominica because it's not moving forward, honestly.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Some good points by the caller. And I'm going to tell you, a very beautiful accent too. But I am going to tell you
Impressed.
that she's probably correct. We've not given, I think we started the show on that, we've not given our own people the opportunities that we've given others. Therefore, we're bringing, like we talked about the Chinese, the people, and we're bringing them over here. We're giving them the construction jobs. We're giving them the insight. We're giving them the chance to start businesses. We're giving them probably, a lot of opportunities that we wouldn't have given to normal people. But the caller is definitely right. I mean, I think you probably have to show a good track record to have people invest here. And again, this is a good question or good comment for our prime minister who is in charge.
But I'll ask you the question: why are the investors not coming?
Well, that's a good question for our prime minister. He has not set the right mood or the right climate for investment. And our prime minister is one that knows a lot about climate resistance and climate all this stuff, but he needs to set the proper climate for people to stay in business here.
Somebody says, I respect Andy, but his Dowasco issue is out of touch. How can you compare Andy, Antigua and St. Martin to Dominica?
Well, I wasn't comparing them. I was comparing the bills. The amount that people pay for water is significantly cheaper in these other countries.
You're not talking about the quality there.
Well, the quality is not what I was talking about. Okay. I was saying that these people have the opportunity to have water, whatever water service that they provide, and it's cheaper than our water service. But we have free rainfall. We have so much rainfall in Dominica. But our water service is so much more expensive. So the question is, why is that? Does that make sense to you, Matt? I'm just saying, it's the same thing with cell phone service. If you have to look at cell phone service here and you look at cell phone service in one of the other islands, which cell phone service is the same cell phone.
But the terrain may be different because the person continues here. Post Maria, a friend of mine who works at Domlec, told me that he has respect. He has respect for Dowasco staff because of the places these guys have to be running those pipes to get water to the consumers.
Hey, and I have a lot of respect for them because I've seen the places that they go.
Right.
But still, Matt, does that explain the fact that our services are significantly more expensive? Our water services are too high. Our water is something that everybody needs and everybody uses. So we have to have a platform for that. When you raise a water bill, an electric bill on somebody, Matt, that's not a one-time fee. If I raise something like a water bill on your salary, you cannot go to your boss and say, my Dawasco bill went up and my electric bill went up. And your boss will automatically give you more money. That does not happen in Dominica. So where are people getting these funds from? My question is,
the salaries are up, but things continue to go up.
But things are continuing to go up under everybody else. So I talked about the salary issue because our civil servants are being paid peanuts compared to St. Lucia, compared to St. Kitts, compared to every other island. Matt, I'm going to tell you, you go across to the French islands, even the French islands are being paid. And I know some people are going to say, well, they make euro money or they make US money, but just our competitors are making significantly more money than us. However, our cost is significantly higher than their cost. So we don't make as much money and our cost is significantly higher. What does that tell you, Matt? That's a recipe for poverty.
All right, more telephone calls. We're going to wrap it up there in a while, though. We're here with Andy Jolly. You know him, no nonsense guy. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Mr. Jolly, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you there.
Martin, Mr. Jolly, all you owe me a top of it. Right. Now, while all you on water, I want to say something about our water at Montrose State. Matt, we have a bad water distribution at Montrose State. When you see a little rainfall, Matt, is only more you get in inside. One of these days, a young lady tell me she got a hookworm in the water. I tell her, why you not saying something? She says, I don't want to say nothing. But then it's a concern for the village. Matt, we have a new intake or new dam. The water is flowing, and mostly all the villages are still on a connection of 60 years old. So you know the kind of water we get in. But every time it have a raise on water, we have to pay for it, but we're not getting proper water distribution at Montrose Bay. That is my concern.
Matt, she does recently. I don't know about the hookworm thing. Oh my God, that was, you didn't have to tell us that story.
You spoke about quality.
Well, Matt, and again, I think a lot of people would be okay paying if they were seeing an okay quality. But again, my problem, and I want to bring that to everybody, I'm not knocking the Wasco in terms of where they have to go, what they have to do, but I think we're paying a significant price and we're not getting the satisfaction out of that price. That's my concern. Simple. I don't mind paying $100 water bill, but give me good water.
Satisfaction.
Give me water that's not going to cut off for 6 days out of the month. And you know another problem with the Wasco, man? When they take your water, and this used to be a cable problem too, until they sued the cable company. And a lot of people don't know that. When they take your cable for 6 days, they have to compensate you for the 6 days.
And they don't do that in Dominica.
That is not done with any service in Dominica. If they take something from you and you have a monthly bill, they're supposed to deduct that amount from that bill. And that is a customer courtesy. But the only way that somebody will have that happen here is when we sue somebody.
So that can actually happen.
Matt, it will happen. It has to happen because guess what? If you keep me without water for 30 days and you can still charge me the exact same amount as if I had water for 30 days, don't you think that's some sort of injustice?
That can also happen with the cable companies. Usually you're out of service for
several days. And they're like, hey, I'm fixing it. That is not our problem, what you're fixing. The fact is that I am your customer and you disrupted my service. Therefore, I expect fair compensation for my disruption. And that is a lawsuit just waiting to happen.
That is a very good point.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you're out of service and they still charge you the same rate.
Yeah. Just like Domlec. If Domlec takes your light, they should be able to say, hey, guess what? We took your light. We compensated you for it. We have to have these service companies step up and stop avoiding people because this is the only way I think that they will begin to improve. When a lawyer goes up and wins a huge lawsuit against those companies.
Oh, boy. Dominica, we're here we learned a lot of stuff here this afternoon, right? None of the companies compensate you. None of them compensate you.
Nothing at all, and Matt, some of the places, especially you have Calibishi area, you have the Vegas area, you have a couple of those areas, they lose water sometimes for 4 or 5 days at a time. But those people still have to pay those bills. I mean, how are we expect to move forward if we do that?
I think Water and Waving was complaining of no water since the weekend, Friday.
Yeah. So I mean,
And today's what?
Today's Tuesday. So that might be a good question to ask the Dawasco Connect when he comes on the show next week. Hey, what are we doing about this? This is very important.
On the telephone, hello, yes?
Hey man, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Mr. Jolly.
Good afternoon, sir.
I know the conversation kind of high level for me, but I can talk a little bit. I know you can defend yourself and you look willing, Mr. Jolly. I notice anytime somebody come and talk to help even the same poor people them, to advise the government, I notice they're getting the fight down. But I just pray God that all will keep you and Matt and Lennox and them that don't need nothing. Just keep courageous for our sake. And the thing about it, I don't know if the level of talk, although you're not using too much high terms, but maybe you should talk in patois too, because you're not comparing the water. You're only saying Antigua and St. Martin have to produce it. In fact, Dominica don't have to take this spirit from salt. And Antigua still have to put the infrastructure, and it's, although they're saying it too high there, but it's no, they don't know. So you're doing a good comparison. And I heard Harold Level tell them on the air one time, I can call his name, I got spreading rumors, that he's going to cut down the water bill and the light bill. And some Antiguan call and say, once world boss in power, they don't care about the light bill. And lastly, I have a cousin, I will call her name, is senior citizen can have a tent. And that cousin of mine is to see her shift pampers here for a living. Not even to clean them, Having affairs with some senior citizens for a living, and when she done taking tickets and even go on Jobla. It's a shame that I have to start to pray harder for them.
All right, caller, thank you very much. Somebody says nobody gets compensated in the Caribbean. It's not, they do nothing about it, huh?
Well, again, like
nobody maybe has taken a chance to.
Nobody's gotten a good lawyer to sue somebody as yet, Matt, because again, this is how structure is done. We got to make sure that we understand that these things, Matt, again, when it was $5, it wasn't a problem. But when it gets to $100, it's a different situation. Things are beginning to affect people's pocket more and more. And again, I am a person who's very fair. I want to pay $10 and I want $10 worth. And the last caller raised a very important question. He's like, well, I hope you and Matt and all the other people can keep the effort up. But here's the thing, caller. I want to tell you that I feel the strain as well, too. You understand? And this is why sometimes I come on the show and talk about it. I'm not talking about things
you don't
that
experience.
I don't experience. I am telling you, this is my personal life experience as well. And I can tell people this is how it feels. And I know a lot of people might not want to talk about it, but I can tell you how I feel. I'm very expressive. I can tell you, Matt, when I lose water at home, I don't feel good about it. I have to go to my tank. And I can tell you the water comes from the pipe dirty. You know how I can tell you that? It's because every 4 months, I pay a guy to disconnect my tank and reconnect my tank after cleaning it. And I don't know how many people out there have water tanks out there. I'm just going to advise you as a public service now. Please hire somebody, call your plumber, hire them and ask them to clean your water tank for you. And the amount of dirt and debris that's at the bottom of my water tank, Matt, it is unbelievable. And you know something else? The water from the water tank, you know where it comes from? The bottom. It comes from the bottom. So this is why I have to pay a guy every 4 months to dismount my tank and clean it, because I don't want that water coming through my pipes. And it blocks my pipes, because if you notice, your kitchen sink has a little filter in it and your bathroom sink has a little filter, because again, they're trying to protect you from having, debris come in. But that debris is coming in your house. And if you are even enlightened and you have the resources to do it, do another thing. Attach a filter, an external filter to your inward water coming into your house. But the next problem about it is that you have to change that filter every month because it gets dirty. Make sure you have the resources to do it.
Hello, talk to me, yes? Uh-huh.
Good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon to
Jolly.
you, yes.
Good afternoon.
Matt, there are many points that were raised, but I believe that basically we're talking about power. This is what this battle is about. When you have a battle, it's about power. If the people of Dominica do not unite to make a powerful entity to force the hand of these politicians are thinking we're powerful and you don't matter. We're powerful and you don't matter. We still get voted in, even if you cry blood. Dominicans have to learn to unite to force the hands of these politicians. That is the only way to do it, Matt. I'm convinced about it. We have to learn, get together, talk about it, all act together. When we all say we're not paying that bill, we don't pay it. They cannot do anything. They will not get through. But we all have to act and force their hands. The only way. Enough said. I hope I made my point. Thank you.
Everything gone up, everything gone up, to the gold prices. Everything gone up.
Hello, talk to me, yes? Uh-huh.
2 quick points, Matt. And Dr. Jolly, thank you. I got the stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks a lot, bro. 2 things I want to state there quickly. How many times, let us say the terrain, Matt, when you lay down pipe, you changing them every 5 years, Matt?
I don't know that you change them every 5 years. It's been
I am just being sarcastic here, Matt. Matt, when you lay down a pipe, maybe in the next 50 years, Matt?
I'll give them 20. Mm-hmm.
No, Matt, 20. No, boy. Matt, pipe. First of all, now it's plastics they're using to make matters even worse.
Right.
Pipes that last at least 30, 40 years before you can say you're changing a rusty pipe. The terrain does not cut it, Matt. The authorities in Dominica are just blatantly abusive, Matt. They're ruthless, they're inconsiderate, and it has to do with the governance of the country who does not take what even Andy is saying pertaining to your salary. I am not getting more money, but I'm paying more for utility, and so frequently, every damn time is more money, more money. When you climb the terrain and you lay pipes, not to say like it's every 5 years you have to go and lay pipes again. We understand the terrain, and it's not something you have to be doing every day. Because when you lay pipes, they stay for years. That is a poor excuse. The other thing, if you with a wife, a woman who has money, or if a woman with a husband who has money, and that wife or husband is being quite abusive, that husband or wife does not want the spouse to be financially independent. Because you might run off on them at any time, and you run off maybe $500,000, maybe $2 million, according to the abuser finances, and feeding her financially, giving her enough money so she have a big account. That is the psychology Skerritt is using. So it's a forced Stockholm syndrome. You have to stay there because everything you need, you have to come to me. So all the great ideas Dr. Jolly have, we have to commend him. Or the callers, ordinary people, Matt, with great ideas, suggestions, quite creative and innovative, they will not put it on board. They will not take it. Because as I tell you, they would want to create that sense of we are helpless. You know how things already is, Dominica. Half a loaf is better than none. Give God thanks for small mercies. Not we have grown above and beyond that. We're talking about billions of dollars. Criminals disappear. And to have the people in a state of creating that reverse psychology with a false sense of scarcity, Matt. That is where they have the people. At least the government trying. So I am saying education does not even cut it in itself. We need motivation and the constant pounding and knocking at the door. 295 cannot do it because it have limited reach. And everybody have the gadgets these days. People are preoccupied. A woman almost fly me, then she not small, Matt. She on her phone, the sidewalk is narrow. Matt, I just come and check in the studio there a little while ago. Matt, if you see how a young woman nearly fly me, and she big, and she on her phone, she not watching where she going, Matt, I have to dash for cover for her not to bounce me and fly me. I did not say not one word. So we're busy on our little gadget, not educating ourselves consistently. Matt, what you say? Repetition builds reputation. And I add to it, which a friend was suggesting, also character. So Dominicans are so far gone, Matt. Listen to Q for 2-3 days. We don't read the newspaper. We don't buy newspapers. We do not take politics seriously until when campaign is around the corner. Unlike Barbados, Matt. You notice there will be trouble in Barbados, Matt? You notice?
Mm-hmm. I'm paying attention.
The opposition beginning to put down their foot because Mia is not all what she appeared to be, and I told that to you the other day. So, Matt, really and truly, what is happening in Dominica? Skerrit is the abuser, and he refused to create any avenue where people can grow independent of him, because the people will start to think independently, Matt. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jolly, we are about to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Blessings. Blessings a little bit sometimes is quite a bit. Blessings, I think I'm gonna have to open a radio station just for you when I get a chance. I think it would be a good investment, because I think Blessings could probably carry the radio show from 8 a.m. probably till about 10 p.m. at night. He could do it all by himself.
I remember Mr. Angela Allen used to do the overnight show.
Yes.
11 o'clock.
We should Blessings. Let Matt know if you want a show like that. I would actually sponsor that show, because I think people would stay up all night to listen. But I'll comment on the first caller first. The first caller said it was a power struggle. And one of the things that I see with Dominica, and this is still happening today, if you notice, is that a lot of the other countries spent a lot of time and their resources building their country. They kept building infrastructure. They kept building industry. They kept enlightening their people and building businesses and really building relationships with other countries. One of the things that we've done in Dominica is that we have had a power struggle here, but we've concentrated all our attention on politics so much for the last probably 30 years. So we're really, if you go around the Caribbean, and I'm not saying we're 30 years behind, but literally, if you look at the other countries that have had stable government, or we've had very resourceful government, you'll notice that they're way advanced from us. And this just goes to show, Matt, if you have to look at most of our OACS islands and our neighbors, they all have everything they need. They have an international airport already. We don't have an international airport. They have a marina already. We don't have a marina. They have a big infrastructure. Matt, we don't even have one skyscraper in Dominica. Or we're not close to having a skyscraper. They really have developed themselves. They have cruise ship villages. You look at St. Kitts, you look at St. Lucia, you look at, Grenada, you look at St. Vincent. Those people have spent a lot of time really working on themselves. And what we are really showing the rest of the world is we are the last kakarot. We are the ones who were not paying attention in class. We were the ones who were not using our resources. We were the ones who were not doing our homework. And this is a good case study as to where we ended up. We literally ignored everything in school, and therefore we get an F at the end of the quarter or at the end of the term. So this is a good example for us to look at. A lot of people say, hey, Dominica is different. I say, well, yes, we are different, but we've also not paid very good attention in class. We were the person who really joked off in class and really didn't do our homework and really didn't get A's in high school.
So I'm going to end with this note here, very informative. Can you imagine there's 99% poor citizens and only 1% wealthy rich? They're sitting in government and they're friends. So while the nation is catching hell, only a few people are doing well. By the way, they're supposed to be our servants, but technically they are enslaved.
Isn't it strange that the servants are doing better than the masters? It's the only place you can find that.
But again, we the people need to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. But at least we forget, some of them, they like it so. Hence, the innocent suffers with the guilty. That's the way I wrap it up this afternoon. Andy, any final words?
Hey, it's always good to sit and chat with you and exchange ideas. My only final wish, actually, not my final word, is that the ideas leave this room and they transcend into something that is going to be great for Dominica and for Dominicans.
Well said. We're gone for the day.
Parents them angry, and there has got to be a solution to this pollution.